IN 1987, a construction foreman in rural Montana bought a Chevrolet C10 pickup. He paid just under $9,000 for it. He used that truck every single day, hauling equipment, pulling trailers, driving unpaved roads in January. He never babied it. He never garage kept it. He put 412,000 miles on it before the frame finally rusted through in 2019. 32 years, one truck. Today, the average new pickup truck in America costs $64,000. The average buyer finances it for 72 months. And increasingly, those trucks are developing catastrophic mechanical failures before the loan is even paid off. Engine problems at 40,000 miles, transmission shutters at 30,000, electrical gremlins that no dealer can diagnose because even the technicians don't fully understand the systems underneath the hood. A $64,000 machine dying while you're still writing the checks. In this investigation, we are going to expose exactly how that happened, the specific engineering decisions, the corporate acquisitions, the supplier shortcuts, and the deliberate design choices that turned the American pickup truck from the most reliable vehicle ever built into a 5-year financial trap. And we're going to show you the trucks that refuse to join that race to the bottom. The first thing you need to understand is what made old trucks indestructible. It wasn't magic. It wasn't nostalgia talking. There were specific mechanical reasons why a 1985 Ford F-150 with the 300 cubic inch inline-six could hit 250,000 miles without rebuilding the engine. That engine had 7 moving parts that mattered: a cast iron block, a simple carburetor, a distributor, push rods, no variable valve timing, no direct injection, no turbocharger spinning at 200,000 RPM 6 inches from a plastic intake manifold. When something broke, a reasonably skilled person with hand tools could fix it in a driveway. Parts were cheap. Tolerances were forgiving. The whole system was designed with a philosophy that has now been completely abandoned. Build it simple, build it strong, and build it so a farmer in Nebraska can keep it running. That philosophy died quietly sometime in the mid-2000s, and the killing weapon was the fuel economy mandate. When federal CAFE standards began tightening, the truck manufacturers faced a genuine engineering problem. A large, heavy vehicle that hauls things burns fuel. Physics is not negotiable. So instead of solving the problem honestly, by making trucks lighter and more aerodynamic, the manufacturers chose a different path. They began adding complexity. Ford was first and most aggressive. In 2011, they introduced the EcoBoost V6 in the F-150 and marketed it as revolutionary. A twin, turbocharged, direct-injected 6-cylinder engine producing the power of a V8 at V6 fuel economy numbers. It was a brilliant press release. It was a disaster for actual owners. Here's what Ford didn't put in the brochure. Direct injection engines spray fuel directly into the combustion chamber, bypassing the intake valves entirely. In older port-injected engines, fuel spray would wash carbon deposits off those valves every time the engine ran. With direct injection, there's nothing doing that cleaning. Carbon builds up on the intake valves like barnacles on a ship hull. At around 80,000 miles, that carbon buildup begins choking airflow into the engine. The symptoms are rough idle, misfires, and power loss. The fix is a walnut blasting service, a professional process that shoots crushed walnut shells through the intake to scrub the valves. That service costs between $400 and $800. It is not covered under warranty, and it needs to be done every 80 to 100,000 miles for the life of the engine. Ford knew this when they designed the system. They had decades of European engineering data on direct injection. They built it anyway because the EPA testing cycle doesn't simulate the conditions that cause carbon fouling, and the warranty expires before most owners hit the mileage threshold, where the problem becomes undeniable. But the EcoBoost's carbon problem is almost quaint compared to what General Motors did with their engines. In 2007, GM introduced active fuel management on their V8 trucks, a system designed to deactivate half the cylinders when cruising at highway speed to improve fuel economy. On paper, it's elegant. In practice, it became one of the most expensive warranty disasters in GM's history. The AFM system relies on small hydraulic components called lifters, specifically collapsible lifters that partially collapse to disable a cylinder. Those lifters are bathed in engine oil. When the oil degrades, or when the oil passages that feed those lifters become restricted with sludge, those lifters fail catastrophically. And they don't just fail quietly. When an AFM lifter fails in a GM 5.3-liter or 6.2-liter engine, it often destroys the camshaft, sends metal debris through the entire lubrication system, and can leave shrapnel in the oil pan. A full repair, new lifters, new camshaft, engine flush, labor, runs between $3,000 and $8,000 depending on the extent of the damage. There are currently class action lawsuits against GM covering millions of Silverados and Sierras built between 2014 and 2021. Millions. That is not a statistical anomaly. That is a design flaw that was shipped to market and sold to working Americans who needed a truck that worked. And then there are the transmissions. In 2014, Ram introduced the ZF 8-speed automatic transmission across their truck lineup. ZF is a reputable German supplier. The transmission itself, when properly calibrated, is genuinely capable. The problem was Chrysler's calibration, specifically the shift programming that caused the transmission to hunt between gears at highway speeds, producing a lurching, shuddering sensation that owners described as feeling like the truck was being rear-ended repeatedly. Chrysler issued software update after software update. None of them fully resolved it. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration received thousands of complaints. A class action lawsuit was filed covering trucks from 2014 through 2018. Ford followed with their own 10-speed transmission in the F-150 starting in 2017, co-developed with General Motors, and promptly received their own class action complaint for virtually identical shudder and harsh shifting behavior. Two of the three major truck manufacturers shipped the same category of transmission problem to market within 4 years of each other. You start to see the pattern. These are not accidents. They are the predictable result of an industry optimizing for two things that have nothing to do with your needs: fuel economy test scores and initial transaction price. Everything that happens to that truck after the warranty expires is, by design, your problem. And here is where the 5-year trap closes completely. The standard bumper-to-bumper warranty on an American truck is 3 years or 36,000 miles. The powertrain warranty is 5 years or 60,000 miles. The problems we've described, EcoBoost carbon buildup, GM lifter failure, transmission shudder, they appear with remarkable consistency just after those warranty thresholds are crossed. At 45,000 miles, at 70,000 miles, when you are now the one holding the repair bill for a machine you're still paying the bank for. And here's the part that should make you genuinely angry. The manufacturers know the failure curves. They have internal reliability data that their warranty actuaries study in detail. They know when things break. They set the warranty end date accordingly. The 5-year trap isn't a metaphor, it's a business model. So what do you actually do? Because rejecting the modern truck market doesn't mean you have to go buy a museum piece. There are trucks on the market right now that are engineered with a fundamentally different philosophy, and the evidence is in the repair data, not the commercials. The Toyota Tacoma and Tundra represent the most important alternative in the segment, and the reason is philosophical before it is mechanical. Toyota's truck division has resisted the pressure to chase fuel economy numbers through complexity. The Tundra's 3.5-liter twin-turbo V6 uses port and direct injection simultaneously, a system Toyota calls D4S. that solves the carbon fouling problem entirely by keeping port injection in the mix to continuously wash the valves. Toyota engineered around the problem rather than shipping it to market and calling it a feature. The Tacoma's 2.7-liter four-cylinder is almost aggressively simple by modern standards, with a timing chain rather than a belt, conventional port injection, and a proven track record that stretches across 2 decades of consumer use. Owners are routinely hitting 200,000 miles without touching the powertrain. Neither truck wins a spec sheet war. Neither truck leads a commercial. They simply refuse to break, and in a market built on planned obsolescence, that is the most radical thing a vehicle can do. If you need a domestic truck and want to keep your money in an American factory, the Ford F-150 with the naturally aspirated 5.0-liter Coyote Vive 8 is the only recommendation worth making, not the EcoBoost. The 5.0 is port-injected, carries no turbochargers to fail, no carbon fouling timeline to manage, no additional maintenance cost hidden in the fine print. It has proven itself over more than a decade of real-world truck use. Pair it with the 6-speed transmission rather than the 10-speed. Fewer gear ratios means fewer opportunities for the system to hunt, shudder, and eventually fail. That combination gives you a truck that has more in common philosophically with the Montana C10 than with the ticking time bombs we've been describing. It costs you nothing extra at the dealer. It saves you thousands at the repair shop. For serious work, truck buyers who need to pull heavy loads day after day and expect to own their vehicle for 300,000 miles, the Ram 2500 and 3500 with the Cummins 6.7-liter diesel is the answer. That engine is manufactured by Cummins, a separate company with its own century of engineering reputation on the line with every unit that leaves the factory. It has been largely insulated from the Stellantis cost-cutting philosophy that has infected the rest of the Ram lineup. The injectors are robust. The block is iron. The bottom end is built to absorb punishment. It is expensive up front. The Cummins option alone adds $10,000 to the purchase price. It is among the cheapest vehicles to own over time when you account for longevity, resale value, and avoided repair costs. That is the correct trade. Pay more once. Stop paying forever. Stop buying the marketing. Stop buying the horsepower number and the towing capacity figure and the 0 to 60 time that no working truck owner has ever needed in a real situation. Stop letting them sell you complexity as innovation, when complexity is the precise mechanism of your financial destruction. Every turbocharger is a component that will eventually fail. Every cylinder deactivation solenoid is a part with a countdown timer. Every additional gear ratio in a transmission is another failure point, dressed up as an efficiency feature. They are selling you the illusion of more while engineering in the certainty of less. Your grandfather bought one truck. He drove it until the frame gave out. He knew every sound it made, every bolt that held it together, and when something went wrong, he fixed it himself in the driveway on a Saturday morning. That truck was not a subscription. It was not a liability. It was a tool he owned completely, and the people who built it took pride in the fact that he would never need to replace it. That's not nostalgia. That is a standard of quality the industry has deliberately walked away from, because a truck that lasts 30 years is a truck that only gets sold once. They don't want to sell you one truck. They want to sell you 6. They want the payment, the extended warranty upsell, the dealer service visits, and the trade-in. They want you cycling through their inventory every 5 years like clockwork, funding the next round of engineering decisions that will once again fail just past the warranty line. The only power you have in that system is the power to opt out of it. Buy the truck built to last. Buy the engine that doesn't need a walnut blasting service. Buy the transmission that doesn't require a class action lawsuit to acknowledge its own defects. And build a life that doesn't require a new truck every 5 years. Because that life, the one built on things that actually last, is the one they have been trying to make impossible since the day they realized reliability was bad for business. If you want to know which other products have been quietly engineered to fail on the same timeline, watch our investigation into the appliance industry next. The pattern is identical, the playbook is the same, and the exit is the same too.